Hello everybody, how you doing? Kay, Alice, Vivi, Denise, Bonnie, Jean, Karen, how you doing Karen? Deborah, your name is Deborah, it never suited you. Elizabeth, Marilyn, Pizzazz, Natasha, Robin, Artie, Heather, quite a few people joining already, Connie, Linda, Helene, Yvonne, Justin, Jeannie, Don, Adrian, how you doing buddy? Wapu, hello Wapu. Oh God, oh shit, what's that there?
We're starting with bad words already.
Yeah, bear in mind this is an adult content tour, no children allowed, there could be the odd mild swear word. It's a live tour, you never know what's going to happen. Kim, how you doing? Everybody who's joined, thank you so much for joining. Too many to say hello to. 68 old enough. Just, have you heard any swear words? Say hello Mike, here's Mike. Hey Mike.
Hey guys, how you doing?
How's life Mike?
It's okay. Getting really busy, but glad to be here on Heygo. If you guys don't know me, my name is Mike. I'm also a guide here on Heygo.
Hey Mike, everyone say hello Mike, how you doing? Yeah, Mike's I think you're the newest tour guide on Edinburgh, are you?
Here a year. Man.
Been here a year now. The problem is Mike's a blue badge tour guide, and a lot of the tour guides, when it comes to the summer season, you have to take as much work as possible.
Yeah.
We have to do like lots of work in the summer. Yeah, Mike's a tour guide. He's got his own tour company.
Yeah, I'm based here in Edinburgh, although I guide throughout the country, so I do a lot of Edinburgh tours. But yeah, throughout the countries, and I do a lot of whiskey tours too.
Yeah, Mike's a bit of an expert on Scotch. Do we have any Scotch lovers here tonight? Any Scotch whiskey drinkers? Maybe one or two of you have had a Scotch tonight. Mike, Mal, you love his whiskey tours? Yeah, Mike's done quite a few whiskey tours now around Scotland. Quite a few people like whiskey here, typical.
Yeah, there's a couple coming up too. So in March I'll be in Speyside.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Speyside in Aberlour, which it's been about a year since I did that last tour.
Yeah, because you've done a few tours, then you kind of had to count. Because as I'm saying, we all had to take a back seat and not do as many tours in the summer, because we have to do in-person tours in the summer, you know. So the way the tour guides work, we all freelance, so we have to take the money when it's going, you know. So that's why sometimes we're not doing tours all doing tours all through the summer. Is Mike an American?
Well, no, I'm actually Canadian. Originally from Canada. Oh, thanks for posting.
Hey, Tish, thanks,
my
Tish.
My profile there, Tish.
Yeah, if you want to follow Mike's channel, by the way, Slanjavar, please give Mike a follow. Hi, Agatha, how you doing? Yeah. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I'm originally from Canada, but my mum and dad are Scottish. So that's what brings me here. So yeah.
There's 5 million Canadians with Scottish heritage, allegedly, and up to 25 million Americans claim Scottish heritage too.
Canadian waving.
Hello Canada. Yeah, lots of Canadians here. Hey, Canada. You can actually visit Canada. See on the Edinburgh Castle, there's actually a spot of Canadian land. Well, what became Canada. There was a bit of land taken from Nova Scotia in the early 17th century and swapped over. So you can actually visit Canada without leaving Edinburgh. So isn't that fantastic? So there's lots of connections. I'm actually doing a tour. Hello Lorraine. Hello everyone who's joining. Christine, all my sponsors. Irene, hello. Too many to say hello to everyone. How's it Scottish yet? Who's that? Somebody's got Canadian pizzazz. You're Scottish and Canadian. Hi, Mike from Edmonton. Dad's born and bred in Edinburgh. Well, lots of Canadians tonight.
Yeah, both my mum and dad from here in Edinburgh.
Both his mum and dad?
Yeah. No, both my mum and dad up there.
All right, aye. What's this? Paul is telling... yeah, I just found out a couple of weeks ago that Scotland and Canada, 400 million years ago, were actually on the same landmass. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah. 400 million years ago. So if you could actually rejoin part of Scotland and Canada, and they would link up like a jigsaw. We were actually attached to the equator at that point as well, 400 million years ago. But yes,
and separate from England.
Of course, I mean, we're separate from England as well, that's right. We didn't meet England until a good few million years later. We moved about a bit and smashed into England. And then, of course, we were attached to the mainland of Europe until only 8,000 years ago. Can you believe that? Get that sign out of the way. Is there anybody here for the very first time, by the way? Because we need to make sure if there's anybody who doesn't know how to take postcards. So if anybody is here for the very first time, please reveal yourself now. Do we have any Heygo virgins tonight? Any Heygo virgins here? Hey, Kathy, lots of Canadians tonight. Christina, how's it going, everybody? Hello, Paul from MN. I'll wait another big storm. What's MN? MN?
Manitoba. No.
Is that Canada or America?
Or is it Minnesota? No, it's
Minnesota? Is it Minnesota? Ah, yeah, because Scotland's actually supposed to be getting hit with a new beast from the east in the next couple of weeks. We're supposed to be getting a lot of snow. Scotland is very, very old. Yeah, Mike knows more about geology than I do. Mike's a blue badge tour guide, so I know like 2/5 of nothing about geology. But yes, Scotland is one of the oldest. It dates back billions of years. I think Skye is it. Is Skye the oldest part of Scotland?
The Gneiss is the oldest rock in
What
the
rock?
world. The Lewisian Gneiss is the name of the type of rock, and it's the oldest rock in the world.
Wow, there you go, the oldest rock in the world.
And like you're saying, it's up in Skye.
Is it Skye? See, I'm half educated. I'm half educated. Hey, Sean, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you.
Oh, there's Sean.
Yeah.
That's my brother, by the way. Thanks for joining, Sean.
Yeah, Mike and Sean are related by blood birth. Hey, Karen, how you doing? How's life, Karen? It's snowed in Finland, is it? I'm not Canadian, but you love hockey. Are you a hockey fan, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
You like hockey? Who's your team?
Vancouver Canucks.
Vancouver what? Sorry?
Canucks.
Canucks. Hey, what's a Canuck?
A Canadian.
Is it? That's what?
Canadian.
Is it? Is that the native Canadians speak like that? Is that
Yeah,
that's
that's not derogatory at all.
No. Montreal. Somebody from Montreal. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Wapu. How you doing, Wapu? Nice to see you, Andrew. Vancouver Canucks.
That's it, yeah, Canucks, like I'm saying.
Canucks.
Yeah.
Is that it? Ah, nice one.
Of course, I have an ice hockey team here. It's was it Edinburgh Capitals? Didn't they change to the Murrayfield Racers?
Ah, yeah, Murrayfield Racers. Yeah, my friend used to play for them actually. Yeah. Ottawa Senators. Hey, okay. Susan, Lorraine. How's Lorraine doing? We've got over 100 just now, so hopefully we'll get a few more. We've got like 250 bookings or something like that. But the numbers, do you ever find the numbers accurate? Because I don't, my numbers are never accurate.
Yeah.
They always underestimate it for some reason. Hello, Susan and Charlie, the rescue dog, and Mark, everyone who's joining. Welcome to the Grass Market area of Edinburgh. The world's best hockey player, Timu Solani? Solani? Is that go Red Wings?
I would argue that, say Wayne Gretzky.
I know 2/5. I'm not finding 1/5 of nothing about ice hockey. I used to play ice hockey on the computer, right enough. Hey Peter, how you doing, buddy? Marlabra Wonga. Welcome to Edinburgh. How you doing, everybody? I'll switch the camera around, but bear in mind we've been attacked by a ghost. Melissa, something's happened. Look.
Ooh.
I was like, oh.
Paul's joined by a ghost.
Like, I don't know what's happened to my camera. My camera's went all... This wasn't a deliberate attempt at making it spooky, by the way. This is just what my camera looks like.
I think a spirit has taken over your camera. Yeah.
So how's everybody doing, by the way? Welcome to Mike and Paul's Haunted Pubs Tour of Edinburgh. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Is anybody here for the very first time? Does anybody want to get a postcard of Edinburgh Castle before we leave on? We just thought we would start down here because we got a good postcard shot. Obviously, the big round white button at the bottom of your screen takes postcards. So if you see a nice view or something you want to take a postcard of, I've never been on one of your tours. Well, okay, so if you could follow my channel, so if you see at the top on the screen somewhere, you could have follow. If you can see follow, if you can please follow my channel. We don't get any monetary rewards, but it's just a good way of massaging the guy's ego. We're all very much egotistical as tour guides. We like to have the most highest number of followers and all that jazz. I'm only kidding on, by the way, but yes, it's nice to have more followers. So if you do like to follow my channel, if you're not already doing so, and also Mike, there is a link to the chat, and Mike, if somebody could put a link to Mike's channel in the chat for me, please. I don't know who it was that done it the last time, actually.
Oh, Sean right there.
Sean,
yeah,
perfect, yeah. Sean. Thank you very much, Sean. Sean was a tour guide. Mike and Sean are brothers, and Sean is a tour guide in Galicia region of Spain as well. Both excellent tour guides, so if you haven't been on any of their tours, please go on Mike's tours. Mike Scott, what's your next tour coming up, Mike?
My next is Dunbar. Yeah, on Saturday.
Yeah, Mike's doing on Saturday. I'm doing a tour about Bonnie Prince Charlie on Saturday, and then Mike's got a follow-up tour about Dunbar. On the east coast of Scotland. So if you want to see what Dunbar looks like, please do so. Right. But so why are we doing that? And there's Sean. Thanks, Sean, for putting your your link to your tour. So please go on. Sean's got is the festival still to come up?
Yeah, he's got a festival tour coming up. Sean, if you can put the dates on as well. It's in March sometime, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a food festival, is it?
It's a medieval festival.
Or a medieval festival coming up. Yeah, so if you want to put any links up, if there's any other tour guides, you can put a link up to your channel. It's always good to support other tour guides on Heygo. So please, if you haven't been on Mike's tour, Mike's a very spectacular tour guide, shall we say. He's a very high. He's educated, unlike myself, you know. Mike is a professional tour guide. I'm an erstwhile tour guide. Mike is what you call a blue badge tour guide. 4th and 5th of March. Yeah, I think Karen was saying she hasn't been on Mike's tours, or either that or Karen's on the wind up. Karen's good at winding people up.
Yeah, normally I do whiskey tours.
Tours.
As you know, whiskey is our national spirit, but we're getting spiritual another way tonight.
Ooh, can you hear Mike speaking okay, by the way, everyone? Can you hear Mike okay? When
yes.
Mike's speaking? Yeah. Yeah,
can you hear me?
Good. Okay. That's okay, so that's good then. Because what we're going to do is, why is Edinburgh so haunted? Edinburgh competes with York, shall we say, about who is the most haunted city in the whole of Europe. And the way they work it out is by the number of ghost tours, right? So Edinburgh has more ghost tours than York. So Edinburgh and York seem to be the two most haunted cities in Europe. But lots of different cities and places. Can we see Mike? There's Mike's. Whoa! Say hello, Mike. I just got attacked by the city wall. So this is Mike O'Rourke. Hello, Mike.
Guys, yeah. From the chest up.
Hey
guys, yeah. So
Mike's.
Mike, you probably can't hear me because I don't have the microphone. Oh, okay.
So Mike's got the microphone.
You guys hear me okay? Well, I'll let Paul needs to finish what he was saying, no? But
yeah, so basically what I was about to say was the reason Scotland, Edinburgh is mostly known for ghost tours and so on is after the Protestant Reformation of 1560 and into the 17th century, Scotland was a very deeply religious and superstitious Presbyterian Calvinite country, and lots of stories about ghosts and devils and witches appeared. Obviously, it was mostly linked to it all basically started with the son of Mary Queen of Scots, King James VI of Scotland, who, to basically tell you the quick story, was he went to Denmark to marry a princess, and on the way back, one of his ships got sunk, and he blamed it on the witches in Leith and on the east coast of Scotland, and that led to the North Berwick witch trials and the great witch hunts of Scotland. Scotland was one of the worst countries in Europe for prosecuting people accused of witchcraft. Over 4,500 people were accused of being witches or warlocks. A male witch is a warlock. And Scotland, up to over 2,500 were executed, and of course 84% of whom were female. And so loads of stories. Obviously there was public executions took place, which we'll talk about on the tours as well. So basically Scotland was they brought in, they actually believed in the devil, right? They believed in the devil. They believed that you could meet the devil walking down the street. They believed the devil could change shape into a cat, a dog, or even a bee. So you can see straight away how all the ghost stories and all the spooky tales sort of originated here in Edinburgh. So that's why now we're kind of classed. We've got most ghost tours than York. So we are the most haunted city in Europe. But John Wright from York might have something to say about that as well. I don't know if John's on the tour tonight. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Mike take a lot of control of this tour because we need to get to know Mike a lot better.
Hey guys, it'll just be a minute here. Less than a minute. Just
We're
a couple
trying to
seconds.
get Mike more followers as well. Handsome chap. We'll get lots of comments. Hey, oh, aye. Fancy Mike, do you? So
thanks, guys. The forward-facing camera, the rear-facing camera is not really working too well, so that's why we're not kind of flipping back.
I'm here, by the way. Hello.
Yeah, there's Paul. There's Paul, if you don't remember what he looks like. But anyway, guys, well, thanks for joining us. Yeah, so I've been a guide here in Heygo for about a year. And, Paul is always kind of messaging me, asking me, how's it going? And he came to me, about a week ago and said, how about we do a collaboration? So, yeah, we came up with this tour of haunted pubs of Edinburgh. But, yeah, Paul's always full of interesting facts. And he's mentioning witchcraft, and we're pointing at the castle. So here we are at the grass market, in which the castle just kind of looms over us. Perfect postcard picture up here, by the way. yeah, so there's Edinburgh Castle. I'm not going to go into the history about that, but I'm going to tell you about a few of the ghosts. I know this is a pub tour that we are doing. The Beehive, yeah, I'm going to tell you about that pretty soon. But I want to show you the castle and tell you a bit about the ghosts at the castle, because it does kind of connect with the rest of our tour here. You guys hear the spooky music behind us there? Getting in the mood here. So yeah, Edinburgh Castle here. It does have its fair share of ghosts. And the most one that's seen here is called the Grey Lady. So the Grey Lady is said to wear like kind of Renaissance medieval like costumes and outfit like a cloak and has a hood, and is often seen walking around the grounds, sometimes sobbing. And who they think she is Janet Douglas. Yeah, Janet Douglas, who was married to Lord Glams. So she was. Oh, thank you, Linda, for the tip. She was married to Lady Glams, and her brother was the Earl Douglas. So the Earl Douglas was a bitter enemy of the king at the time. So the king at the time was King James V. King James V really had a vendetta not only against, the Douglases, who are a very powerful family here in Scotland. He also had one against witches. And it was up here at the castle on the Esplanade, which is right over here, where there was around about 300 raise the mic. Okay, sorry, I'm going to put it, can you hear me better now? Sorry, I don't got one hand. Can you hear me better now? Yeah, thank you, Bonnie. I'll try and put the mic right there. Yeah, if you can't hear me, definitely let me know. But anyway, so the Grey Lady, who they say is Janet Douglas, was burned at the stake in front of the castle right here. So that's who they think she is. So a lot of witch trials were held here, which we'll get into a little bit later. They say it was the Grey Lady is either her. Ooh, it's a Grey Lady behind me. It's either her or Mary de Guise. Mary de Guise, who was when she died, she was actually kept in the castle for 9 months?
9 months she lay in state, yeah.
9 months she lay in state in the castle, because during that time the Reformation happened. Of course, she was the Catholic queen, or the regent she became. And so they say maybe Mary de Guise. The other ghosts out of there, they say there's a dog ghost. There's a headless piper. And also a smelly ghost. Yes, the smelly ghost was, they say it was a prisoner. Because they have a famous prison in here in Edinburgh Castle. And they say this prisoner tried to escape by jumping in a wheelbarrow full of manure. But he thought that, he would have a soft landing. The piper too, which I'm going to get into a little bit later on the tour. But anyway, yeah, this prisoner, the prisoner thought, he would have a soft landing in a pile of manure. Well, instead, this wheelbarrow was just dumped off the side of the castle, round about where we're looking at right now, where he met his death. So yeah, so if you see a smelly, or you smell something when you're in the prison there at Edinburgh Castle, now you know what it is. Anyway, I'm just going to turn you around. A messy death, most definitely. Well, here we are at the Grass Market, which is a poopy way to die. You guys are full of puns. So this is the Grass Market here. It was during the medieval times. It was a live cattle market. Other, livestock brought here as well. It was very difficult to get the cattle, up to the Royal Mile, up on the hill. So a lot of these buildings here, the actual foundations. Oh, what's that? Oh my God, what's that? Where's it going? Ah! That was Paul's idea. So a lot of the foundations of the pubs here date back to the 1500s. But, by the time we got to the late 17th century, a lot of these buildings were falling down. So actually, most of the buildings actually date to the mid-18th century. But they do have their old origins. And this one right here is called the Beehive Inn. Beehive Inn, now they say during the 16th century, it was a coaching inn. But the building mainly dates to the 18th century. And it's known to have its fair share of ghosts inside here. We were actually just in there, funny enough, speaking to one of the staff, and they say, of course, most of the haunting that happens here happens after the pub closes. when no one's around, what kind of a coaching inn, which just meant that, when you're on a coach, you would come here and you would stay. So a lot of drovers would have stayed here. But anyway, so he was saying there's a white lady in here?
A white lady ghost as well. There is a white lady ghost. There always seems to be a white lady or a grey lady or something like that when you talk about ghosts, isn't there? There's always a white or a grey lady. But you'd seen one about the...
Yeah, in the bar area, they say there's a young lady, an apparition of a young lady, they say. And they say a lot of haunting comes from the basement because the basement is the oldest part. But the spooky thing inside here, now I'm going to back up so you see...
We've got to put images in.
We go back here just to see a bit more of it. So the spooky thing about here is when you're inside on the first floor here on the restaurant level. That's okay. On the restaurant level, I'll just kind of zoom in here. I don't know if we can see it. Is that it right there? They have a door, right? A very kind of spooky door. Now what this door is actually originally from a prison, from the old Calton jail. And it was a door to the condemned prison, to, the condemned cell. Now, we didn't put the images on, but what I can do is what I used to do before Heygo had the possibility of putting images up on it. I'll just kind of show you on my other phone what the door looks like. If you guys can kind of see that, that's the door. Now that's inside, up on the upper floor I was just pointing to. Yeah, and held a famous prisoner. Anyone out there guess which prisoner that it held? You may have heard of these two guys. It was just one of them that was in the prison, though, on various of Paul's tours. Burke. Yes, you're correct. So yeah, Burke and Hare, if you know the story about them, the supposed, body snatchers, but they were not body snatchers at all because they didn't dig up any bodies. They were murderers.
Serial
killers. The most famous murderers from here, in Scotland, basically, in Edinburgh. So it said it's here in the, on the Royal Mile, on the Grass Market, where they lured their victims, especially in a lot of these pubs in here. They would coerce them to come in for a drink, get them nice and drunk, then take them to his inn. It was Brooks Inn, wasn't it? Yeah, and the way that they murdered them, it's actually in the dictionary. I don't know if you noticed, it's called burking.
Burking, yeah.
Do you want to show them, Paul, how it happens?
Burking was, the original burking method was Burke would lay on top of the person. They would get them drunk as a skunk, to be honest. Your last night on Earth was fantastic. You got drunk as a skunk, partied all night with them, drinking lots of scotch. They would pass out drunk, and then Burke would lay on top of them so they couldn't move, and Hare would suffocate them. Okay, so once they got caught, they actually had to change the Anatomy Act because of them, because the murders started getting copied all around Britain. And Natalie from London, most of you have been on Natalie's tour in London as well, and she told me the method they used in London was actually a slightly different method. They got them drunk in the same way as Burke and Hare, but what they did in London was they actually drowned them in a barrel or a bucket of water. So there was different kinds of methods used, and that's when they had to change the Anatomy Act in 1832 to extend the number of bodies that could be used for public dissection and medical science. But as Mike says, they never snatched a single body. They were basically serial killers, killing 16 people at least in a 10-month period. But I do a full tour about that. So if you want to do a full tour. So we're going to move on now to, this is probably one of the most haunted pubs. Well, a lot of the pubs try and claim they've got the title for the most haunted pub in Edinburgh, but this actually has got quite a few different stories, Mike, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's the oldest pub for one thing.
It's the oldest pub?
Yeah, dates to 1516, so it's the oldest pub in Edinburgh city centre.
In the centre, yeah, because the Sheepseed is supposed to be one of the seventh oldest pub in the world, but a lot of the buildings are not original. The buildings are not original, as Mike said as well. The original buildings were basically knocked down here in the 19th century, but the basements, the foundations were obviously kept. So that's how so many stories have evolved from the this area in particular.
We're asked by Mark if we're having a pint in any of the pubs.
Are we having a pint in any of the pubs? Well, what we might do is, depending on how the time goes, wherever we end up last, we don't know how long where we're going to get to on the tour, because we've got so much content, right? We might have to do a part 2 tour, to be honest. So depending on where we end up, we might go into the pub for a pint, right? But the problem is, in some of the bars in Edinburgh, some of the buildings are really thick walls. They've got really thick walls, and you lose signal. But we'll try.
Well, here I am bringing you inside on my phone.
So that's inside the pub there.
Well, this one, that's a Beehive Inn.
That's inside the Beehive.
Yeah, at the end of the bar, that was Paul and I were just there.
Oh yeah, just for a reminder, this is a tip-based platform. I forgot to say at the start, this is a tip-based platform. The tour's free to watch, but if you like the tour or the tour guides, you can leave a tip. And you can change the amount as well.
So yeah, that's inside the White Hart Inn, the one that we're looking at. Should I?
So that's right. Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm going to tell you a bit about the White Hart Inn, a bit about the apparitions and the ghosts that are well known inside here. Then I'm going to pass you back to Paul as soon as I can get this. You know what? I'm just going to hold this. It's easy enough doing that. Okay, so yeah, here's the White Hart Inn. As I said, dates back to 15. Oh, thank you for your tip there, Heather and Mike. Anyway, so the White Hart Inn dates back to 1516. That's when it was established anyway, although the only original part that remains is the cellar underneath. Most of the building here was built in the 1740s. Very famous pub. They say that this is where Robert Burns came on his last visit to Edinburgh with his lover at the time, Clorinda. Quite a ladies' man, Robert Burns, yeah. And what do you write here? A fond kiss. A fond kiss. And Dorothy Woodworth, Mark, you're a paranormal investigator. Oh. So the Dorothy Woodworth and her brother William came here as well. And it's called the White Hart Inn. A white hart is a white stag, and that relates to the story of King David I, who was hunting in the royal forest, came across a wild stag, and he fell off his horse, and the stag came, just trampling towards him, and he was praying like very frantically at the time, and it said there's many stories about this, and it said that a cross appeared in the antlers. So that's how the story goes. So that's a little bit about the history of the White Hart Inn. Now to tell you the good stuff, about the ghosts, things that happen here, and it's mainly in the cellars. By the way, I'll show you a very interesting what's happening. Now, here we see is where they used to store the coaches. This is called the Dunlop Court. Anyway, so the haunting that happens in here. One of the most haunted places here, the haunted pubs, anyway, here in Edinburgh. And it's mainly in the cellar. So what they see here, the main one that people see a lot of time is a detached leg apparition. If you know what that means. By the way, Agatha, thank you for that tip. That means it's only legs, no torso, no top. Just walking around the cellar, around where the fridge is. And it's apparently followed by the torso. So it's followed by the person that actually owns the pair of legs. So no one knows what actually happened to that person. Yeah, walking. Yeah, the pair of legs walking with the torso kind of a little bit behind it, following it. So that's been seen quite a few times here at the White Hart Inn. One of the very spooky things in here, as I said, is mainly the staff members that, record these sightings and these events that happen here. It's a cold room, again, down in the cellar. And it said that when you walk in the cold room, it just slams behind you. And wasn't the guy in the Beehive Inn saying that there was someone trapped in there? A staff member was trapped in there as it slammed behind them.
He went into the cellar in the cage. He got trapped in a cage. He went into the cage for to get some goods or whatever, and the cage door slammed shut behind him, and he had to get rescued. So yeah, definitely a lot of the staff have seen loads of things happening in the various pubs around Edinburgh, which could add to the myths and legends about it. The pubs used to advertise their flyers and saying, come and drink here because you could be sitting next to a ghost, sitting next to it at the next again table and things like that, but yeah, how much of it all is true, I don't know, but
yeah. Kathy's asked if we can watch it from the beginning. Don't you send a link out sometime?
To watch this from the beginning? Kathleen, what I can do is I'm going to download this tour. So if you can add me as a friend on Facebook, Paul James Stewart, because I'm downloading it for my sponsors as well. If you sponsor my tours, you get access to all my previous tours in case you've missed them. But I'm going to download this tour anyway, so if you add me as a friend, I'll send you a link to it, okay?
Yeah. Anyway, I'll get to the other ghosts that are here, right? It's again down the south. Okay, again with the staff, and what they say, what happens very often is that the beer taps they stop working, so they go down to the cellar. Oh, thank you for the tip there, Kristen. They go down to the cellar and they find the hose, that attaches to the keg is detached. So the way to put it on is that they have to, use a big spanner to put it on. And then they go back up. Thank you, Lynn, for the tip. They go back up to the bar, and I'm going to show you where the taps are, and it's still not working. It's not working again.
What?
The tap, the beer tap.
Oh, it's not working again.
So they go down to the cellar, and it's detached again. Yeah. So the reason why I'm bringing you really close here is I want to kind of bring you in, zoom you in to see if you can see the taps, or at least see the bar. That's the bar right there. So yeah, that's one thing that happens. Other things that happen here, they say it's a little girl in red medieval clothing that's here.
That seems to be quite a common theme, actually. Young girl.
Oh, thank you, Sean, for your tip, and Lynn. And also, they say that walking up the stairs sometimes, there's a man at the top there with one of these like tricorn hats, like a pirate hat. They often see that at the top. Often people have their hair pulled. They get tapped on the shoulder by no one there.
Yeah.
So very, very spooky. Now before I hand you back over to Paul, I'm just going to turn you around for one more last postcard picture to have a different angle. You tried, but the lights on the upper. I think that's just something with the camera. I don't think that's an orb or anything like that. You say if you look at this, Paul, you can kind of see it looks like an orb.
I've had that before. Yeah, they see the orb. Yeah, I've had that on a couple of my tours before as well. I've had that when I went to the Brigadoon. When I went to the Brigadoon, which is linked to Robert Burns, all witches and all that linked to the witches can't cross the bridge over. And I went down there to do a tour, and I tried to walk over the bridge, and one of the orbs appeared in front of me with a big flash of light as well. I was actually quite worried at one point, but
I think that's just something on your camera.
It could be, but can anybody see it? Can you see the blue thing floating about? No.
Let's go back to the same spot. No, it follows it.
Quite strange, isn't it? Very spooky, man. Well, thanks very much for that, Mike. I'm going to hand you back. Is it green? You can see it, and it moves. So they can see it. Bizarre,
just be a reflection on the camera.
Could be spooky, that. I don't know. I've had that before. On as I say, when I was trying to cross the Brigadoon, linked to Robert Burns, of course. Tam O'Shanter is a very famous poem. So you can see that, and that was written in the late 18th century. So you can see how witches and whatever has been talked about for centuries. You know what I mean? But this area, as Mike was saying, this area is in particular haunted. There's been loads. You've got, like as Mike said, Birkenhair, who I do a tour about. You've got Major Thomas Weir, the Wizard of West Bow. You've got Maggie Dixon, Half Hang It Maggie. Just the brief story about Maggie is she actually got executed right on I'll show you where the gallows are. You used to publicly execute people here in the Grass Market. And she was basically sentenced for concealment of pregnancy and hung here for 30 minutes. She was taken down to Musselburgh to get buried. And on the way there at some point, they opened up the coffin and Maggie Dixon was alive. Right? And they brought her back to Edinburgh and they were going to rehang her. But they had a law called double jeopardy. So the judge declared that an act of God, and she was given a pardon. Right? She was allowed to live. She got back with her husband. And she lived for about 30, 40 years. And she used to come back to other hangings here. I'll show you the signs of the gallows here. And she used to come back to various hangings, and she used to shout at the people who were about to get executed, "It's okay, it's not that bad, anyone can do it. If I've been hanged, you can get hanged too." She became known locally as Half Hang It Maggie. There she's there, Half Hang It Maggie. And as somebody said, if you come on my Harry Potter tour, I'll give you the full story about that. And she's got the greatest accolade in Scotland. She's got a pub named after her, Maggie Dixon's. But we're actually here to talk about this pub here, called The Last Drop. Thanks for the tip, Peter. This is the pub The Last Drop. Okay, and I'm just going to show you. Again, this has got a kind of similar tale. There's one particular ghost. The ghosts seem to be quite friendly, most of the ghosts, don't they? Did you come across any evil, apart from Bloody Mackenzie, the poltergeist, sorry. Edinburgh's got loads of poltergeists, and we've got one really evil one called Bloody Mackenzie, but most of the ones in the pub seem to be quite friendly.
They seem to be playful.
Yeah, playful. They just move things. Nobody's ever been hurt. The research I carried out, nobody's ever been hurt by any of them. They just kind of just tend to move things and like throw glasses about and stuff like that.
Yeah, you hear in The Last Drop what they say. It's, again, very playful. They say it's a young girl. Can everyone hear me?
A young girl, yeah.
They say it's a young girl that's in here. Normally when of course, everyone's left and they're closing, just the staff that's in there, maybe one staff member.
Mm-hmm.
And this little ghost girl, she whispers out the employee's name.
That's right, yeah. She shouts out their names. Can you imagine working in the pub late at night and then somebody just shouts out your names and you hear footsteps? She's supposed to be a young Irish girl. The research I read, she was a young Irish girl, right, dressed in medieval clothes, and she was believed to have been a murder victim, but there was no records of that ever being found. And again, I don't know what happened in 2007, right? But a few of the pubs, there must have been a lot of paranormal activity in 2007, because quite a few incidents happened in 2007. So look at the Hangman's Noose. I do like that light. So the Last Drop reference, it's actually got a couple of theories about why it's called that. I've got two theories and Mike's got another one. So when you get executed, at some point they brought in the trapdoor method for execution. Maggie Dixon was actually unluckily strangled to death. They were just basically hung for 30 minutes until you died. It was a slow, torturous death. But then they brought in the trapdoor method, whereas if the trapdoor opened, that just broke your neck. It was a much more efficient and not as painful death as just slowly strangling for half an hour. But it could also reference the whiskey. When you get executed in Scotland, you get a last drink of scotch before you go. But Mike's got a different story.
Well, yeah, the last drop. Should I take it?
Or? Yeah, take it, man.
I'm just switching it. So yeah, the most people refer to the reference here of the last drop. They would think the last drink, as Paul was saying, and it depended where you were in the level of society as well. So if you're a very kind of well-known, wealthy person, watch out, I don't trip on anything going backwards here. A well-known, wealthy person, you were given claret. If you're just a regular person, you're given beer. And if you were, if you're a child, you were given half-strength beer. So yes, they did hang children at the time. It was quite a big affair at the time. There was no TikTok during that time. No, no Heygo. This is their form of entertainment. They would come to the gallows, watch everything happen. That is the common theory of what people say what the last drop is. It's not necessarily meaning the last drink, though. It's the last drop. I think Paul will do a recreation of the last drop. So, and that's referring to the last person who was executed here, and I just saw his name is up here. Yeah, which again, I'm going to cheat here, as I don't actually know that much about him, but you can see right here, right there, it says it right on there, 1784, James Andrews. He was a robber. Yeah, there you go. So that's what it said. That is why they call it the last drop. As punishment for everyone, very sadly. Okay, well, we're going to continue now. I think we're continuing now.
The big incident in 2007, one of the staff members, they had a cup of hot chocolate, right? A cup of hot chocolate, and all of a sudden the hot chocolate glass just went flying of its own accord, and that was in 2007. And one of the other pubs we had done research about as well, and they had a very similar type of incident happen in 2007 as well. And Edinburgh, what was the ghost show on Channel 5? One of these, these ghost shows, they come in and spend a night there. And I think it was in the Vaults. Was it the Vaults, Mike? I can't remember. There was one of the places they went to, and they were actually so terrified they had to leave. So there has been lots of mediums and clairvoyants and so on. They come to Edinburgh specifically to look for ghosts and paranormal activity and so on. But whether or not I believe it all, I don't disbelieve it, right? I don't necessarily believe it all, but I don't disbelieve it because you never know what's going to happen.
I'm the same. I don't disbelieve it.
I thought I saw a ghost once come out of a wall, and it wasn't grey, it was brown actually. It was a shape, like a body shape, coming out of a wall once in a flat in Grove Street in Edinburgh. And one of my neighbours when I was growing up, she was convinced that she saw a ghost as well. So I don't know. Maybe has anyone here saw a ghost before? Anyone had any ghostly paranormal activities happen?
Well, Lorraine here says she's not going to sleep.
A few. Look at that. Yeah, a few.
Tell you guys, if you're getting kind of freaked out and getting kind of shaky, looking behind you, the best thing to get over the cure for the freakiness is a glass of whiskey.
I drink scotch.
As you know, I do a lot of whiskey tours. Anyway, we're going to take you to the Cowgate. I just wanted to show you up here briefly. This is the West Bow leading up to Victoria Street. The Wizard of West Bow, yes. Thomas Weir was his name, and he confessed to using witchery to talk to the dead. And he was eventually strung up at the gallows in the 1630s. Question: late at night, women's voices answered yes. So some people are saying that that's what's happened to them at night.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Share your stories, everyone. Put your stories in the chat.
Definitely share your stories, yeah. Well, they say here anyway, Thomas Weir's house is not here anymore, but it was up there. If you see where the terrace is, kind of where the lights are at the top there, which is now the Quaker's house, which a lot of weird things happen. Lights going on and off. The kettle going on when it's not plugged in. A lot of demonic kind of apparitions happening. But what they say happened here, or what happens here late at night, especially when you've had a few drinks in the pub and you're walking home, is that down this street here we see a chariot being dragged by 6 phantom horses. Right down this street here.
Oh, that sounds good, man.
Right down here, yeah. I think you've seen that a few times there, Paul, yeah?
More than once, I'll tell you that. I've not been out in Edinburgh for a few years, right enough. I'm too old now, but yeah. You see all sorts of sights in Edinburgh going home on a night, shall we say.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Some more scary than others.
So now we're going to leave the Grass Market now, and we're going to head down to a much more darker place here in Edinburgh. Ghost horses, yes, phantom, not just ghost horses, but phantom ghost horses, demonic horses. That's what they say, yeah. So like I said, we're going to head now towards the Cowgate. Because gate is an old Scottish word for a street. So this is where the cows used to come down, to the Grass Market. It's a very kind of dark place. It was one time a slum. It was a slum all the way up to about the 1950s, wasn't it?
Yeah, my family lived here. My family lived in the Cowgate. My granny was Irish. There's so many Irish here. It was called Little Ireland. Little Ireland. In fact, there's a sign up on the wall.
Is it up here? Yeah.
Little Ireland.
Little Ireland. So yeah.
Any Irish heritage people up here?
So yeah, the Irish population that was moving here to Edinburgh lived in this area here. And of course, just up the street here, I'm just going to span around here. Actually, I'll move up a little bit so you can see it. Up that street there, we see the walls are. You might see a church behind the trees. That is Greyfriar Kirkyard. Of course, if you've been on one of Paul's tours, especially his Harry Potter tour, which is the scariest Harry Potter tour I've ever been on, he'll tell you about the poltergeist that's there. Bloody
Mackenzie.
Bloody Mackenzie.
Well, the accepted theory is it's Bloody Mackenzie. And that was just an author, Jan, what was his name, that wrote the book. But I don't know if it is bloody Mackenzie. I think it's more likely to be one of his victims who he tortured or executed, but the accepted theory is it's the guy who's in charge of the prisoners who were executed and tortured, and that's just the way it goes. But I don't know if it is the real bloody Mackenzie. I think it's more chance of being somebody else that was tortured or executed by him. But there has definitely been over 400 recorded incidents of people being attacked in that graveyard. Mike was talking earlier about people getting pushed over and bruises and so on. And if you don't believe me, Google bloody Mackenzie, Edinburgh, and you'll see people. Somebody got attacked a couple of months ago, and so normally you go home with unexplained bruises and scratches, and you get knocked over and so on. So
it's so dangerous that they've locked the gates there. You can't even go. Yeah,
you can only go in at night with an official tour guide.
So that's a notorious haunted place, but we're about to take you to another notorious haunted place. So this is the Cowgate that we're in right now. So this is a glacial valley, which was formed around about 100,000 years ago. And we're not on the Royal Mile anymore. The Royal Mile kind of sits to the left of us, which sits on a cliff. So the Royal Mile kind of looms kind of over us, kind of creating a very dark, kind of eerie atmosphere. A dark kind of eerie atmosphere. And sorry, I'm just going to go around this here so you get a better view. And because the Royal Mile is based on cliffs, you have to get to it by a series of bridges. So it's often called the City of Bridges. And these bridges, they were built in the 18th century, and they're meant to blend in with the city. So a lot of times that you're on the bridge, you can't tell that you're on the bridge. Because that was the main purpose. It was built purposely, for the merchants. And down underneath in the bridge are vaults. If you don't know what a vault is, it's a stone room basically, which was originally meant for the merchants to keep their goods, but was very poorly built. So it wasn't really used for that anymore. A lot of condensation, got into the vaults. So that was very, very swiftly, not used for that anymore. You've been to the bridge? Yeah. So I'm taking you to the South Bridge. Oh, God. Is that the Watcher? The Watcher's right there.
Who we got a fright?
That's Mark. That's Paul, sorry. Telling you about the vaults. So
I couldn't see there. My glasses all steamed up, I couldn't see.
This here is the Three Sisters. Very popular for sporting events and things like that.
Any sporting activity that's on, rugby, football, American Super Bowl. It's a place to come.
Well, doesn't this have? Wasn't it in Trainspotting? Was this in Trainspotting? One where Bigby I thought it was in the first one where he throws the glass.
No, that was a pub in Rose Street.
Oh, okay, it wasn't
this one.
It
was actually filmed in Glasgow, but it was supposed to be a pub in Rose Street.
Yeah.
But this kind of the period we're moving into now is actually later than the Grassmarket period, because what happened was they had to build a series of bridges to connect Edinburgh, and that's how the arches came about. And underneath, you can only see a couple of the arches, but underneath the rest of them were shops and all that. So Mike's going to tell you a little bit.
Well, I was just telling them.
Yeah. Sorry, I was running away trying to scare you.
That's okay. Maybe some people didn't hear it, but one of the arches is just coming up here, just in the distance there, and that's the only arch that's exposed. The only arch that you can see. There's actually 14 of these arches, so that tells you how long, how big that this bridge actually is. And this ended up becoming the underground city of Edinburgh. It's where a lot of bad people went. Even the police didn't go down there. They didn't.
The Hellfire Club. Have you heard of the Hellfire Club in London? The Hellfire Club was here as well.
Yeah, the body snatchers kept bodies down there. Yeah. Murderers hid down there. There was brothels there. There was all sorts of illegal gambling and all sorts of bad people down there. Well, they were eventually chased out, and it was discovered in the 20th century by a pub owner.
Yeah, I know. It was all forgotten about, actually. Yeah. And a pub owner knocked through a wall and discovered all these vaults and made a fortune, I think.
Yeah, so they've now kind of cleaned up these vaults, and a lot of tour companies, I've opened them up as attractions. There's a few different ones. So if you come to Edinburgh, there's a few that we're going to tell you about that are really good. So you can know some of them are historic tours, some of them are paranormal tours. Yeah. So they say that they've had a lot of paranormal investigations here. They do overnight vigils in Halloween. A lot of the TV shows have been here, like Most Haunted.
Most Haunted, that's what I was thinking of,
yeah. And they've done so many investigations here. It's right off the charts. And here in Edinburgh, these vaults are in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most haunted place in the world.
So there you go, stuff New York.
And America Tours is just right up here. Maybe we'll pop up there really quickly, you think? Yeah. That's the way you get in it anyway.
These are paid for visitor attractions. You have to pay to go into these. And the walls are too thick to do a live tour. But I'm going to try and investigate if I can do a pre-recorded tour from one of the vaults. So watch this space. But it'll have to be pre-recorded because you lose the signal. A lot of the building walls are very thick in Edinburgh. And especially if you go into the basement areas as well.
Yeah, and we're coming up here to show you where America Tours is because they have some pictures outside, don't they?
Yeah, you can see a little bit of what it looks like in the vault. So they did have anyway.
They did. I think they take them away. That's how you get into it.
Yeah. Imagine people living in there in the winter.
Can we zoom in?
The sewage. There was no sanitation.
That's what it looks like inside. American's close. I can get to that a little bit later on. Here you can see how the bridge, all the vaults underneath it. Is there any more? Where's Paul disappear?
See the reflection on the window there. You might find the lights on the outside.
That's the entrance. Oh, right here. See this one right here? That's the vault. This is the entrance to get into it here.
All right, okay, next one.
Yeah. So that's and you were saying right here. I think at the back up.
An inkling of what it's like that. Can you understand why we can't do a live tour? I mean, look at the thickness of the walls and how deep it goes as well.
Yeah.
So, might be able to do a pre-recorded tour, but watch this space, everyone.
Well,
Mike's got good contacts.
America Tours here have a tour called, was it Descend and Be Free or something like that, where you don't have a tour guide. You're just there on your own.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Meerkat's a very good company, actually. One of the best companies.
Speaking of that,
right.
Anyway,
so you get all the headsets as well.
So we haven't told you about the ghosts that are inside yet, have we? Yeah. So there's known to be a very haunted place, like I said. They've got a little boy ghost that apparently likes shoes. So if you feel something tapping on your shoes, and he's called the Cobbler. And also, children are. By the way, here's a good postcard picture. That is the actual only arch that's exposed. So on either side, on the left and right, the vaults are kind of inside there.
All the way along. That's the bridge up there.
It goes all the way along, and they're just inside.
That's the bridge with the Harry Potter cafe, is it? That's George IV Bridge.
No, this is South Bridge.
That's the South. Oh, yeah, that's the South Bridge. Yeah, that's the South Bridge. So there is a Harry Potter cafe further up to the left.
Oh, there's another one there. That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so George IV Bridge is behind us.
Yeah. And they have the one here that's probably the scariest one. It's called the Watcher. Sometimes called Mr. Boots. And he doesn't stay in one place. He moves around, from vault to vault. Because they say he's the night watchman. And he's there stopping these restless souls from moving on to the next dimension. So known to be a very evil man. Often the Cobbler. Yeah. Known to be a very evil man. Dressed all in black. Often has a big hat on where you can, making his face very dark. So he's a well-known one in a lot of the vaults that are here. And I'm just going to show you. It goes up on both sides. We're going to go up here behind us.
Sorry,
no, that's okay.
Got a postcard of the cow.
Oh, yeah, there's a cow.
Look at the cow.
Paul really likes that cow. So if you guys want a postcard, there you go. But just behind that cow, up the street, there are more vaults, just kind of to the right of it. That's the actual bridge. Kind of hard to believe this is a bridge. It doesn't look like a bridge at all. In that one, that is where City of the Dead go. If you ever seen the TV show called Spooked Scotland, they went inside there and did an investigation. Chris Fleming was the name of the psychic that went inside there, and I'm actually planning a tour for him. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a tour for him a bit later in the year. And upside here, so this is still the bridge over on the left of us, and you can see.
Yeah, it's a very haunted area up here.
But these are like pubs and like venues which are open to the public, which you can go in. They're all up here, and these are actually all in the vaults. As I said, there's a few different tours that go inside the vaults. There was you like Chris? You've heard of him? Okay, great. Market Tours, City of the Dead, and Old Ricky is the other one.
Old Ricky is a nickname for Edinburgh.
Yeah, it means Old Stinky, really. Yeah. Or Old Smoky.
Old Smoky, Old Stinky. I think it was a combination of the two.
And there you go. There's more kind of the vaults. A little bit advertising for these guys, but
Old Ricky Tours,
yeah.
You've got Mary King's Close as well, but I don't like telling people to go to Mary King's Close because they pay their staff crap wages. So I don't recommend. Mary King's Close is very popular, but I don't recommend going to it because they don't pay their staff well. So I like to go to places where they pay their staff well, Yeah. That's just a personal thing. Yeah. But this is a very, very haunted area here. I think is it this pub?
Yes, this one. They're knocked through. The Labyrinth, the Banshee Labyrinth. No, I don't think it was this one.
Yeah, this is the pub they knocked through and found all the vaults. Because the vaults lay undiscovered first. Because when they first built the vaults, they had shop owners move into them, but they realised it wasn't waterproof. So the shop owners moved out, and that's where all the homeless moved in. There was Highlanders coming down from the Highlands of Scotland, fleeing the clearances, and that's when all the Irish came as well during the 19th century, when it was a so-called genocide or famine in Ireland. So that's how, and they moved into all the places that were abandoned. So as Mike was saying, there was all sorts of dodgy things going on in there.
Yeah, Mark's asking how many pubs in Edinburgh. I'd have to Google that. I think, but a lot. Pretty
hundreds.
Every fifth door or something is a pub. But anyway,
Scotland has got so many pubs. Ireland's probably got more pubs than Scotland, I would imagine, isn't it?
Really? No.
I'm not sure. That's a good start. I'm going to find it out, Mark. Thanks for that.
You're never far from a pub here. Yeah. But anyway, we're here to tell you about the Banshee Labyrinth. Very renowned. It says it right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, look in the sign. It says it's Scotland's most haunted pub. Yeah,
it's Scotland's most haunted pub. It's not actually a pub, though. It's a nightclub. It's open really late, open to like 3 a.m., something like that. And it's all actually in the vaults itself. So I'll kind of show you. I'll go up really, really close here. See this skull right here. You can tell the theme. The theme of the inside. There's more to show you inside here. I think I have some pictures I can show you once my other hand is free. Where'd Paul go? Paul's disappeared. I'm on my own now. It's actually open. You can see that's actually inside the vaults. Kind of spooky. I'm all by myself here. There you go. That leads down. You can hear the music. I don't know if you can hear the music down there. That's why we're not going down there, as they have music going on. You get a bit better picture down here. Let's see. He's in the pub for a pint. Yeah, so let's tell you a bit about the ghosts here. First of all, does anyone know what a banshee is? Why it's called the Banshee Labyrinth? I'll tell you anyway. So what a banshee is, it's more of an Irish kind of folklore, where it says that, when you hear a blood-curdling scream. You want to do a scream for us there, Paul? Yeah.
1 second. I have my spooky sound effects.
And a banshee always, foresees death. So if you hear this scream, you know that you have a loved one that is about to die. And it's been reported a few times to happen here. Is that the banshee right there? I think we can hear the banshee.
Where's the noises coming from, Mike? Is that you?
No, it's not me.
Are you making a noise, Mike? What's going on? I can hear some funny noises.
All right. So there actually has been incidents happen here. Oh.
I don't know where the noise is coming from, but I'm getting a bit concerned here, Mike.
Well, that's the Banshee. So yeah, they say there was a workman in here in the 90s, and when he was in here, he heard that scream, that blood-curdling scream, and he had a phone call shortly after where he had a family member had just died. So yeah. So a lot of spooky things happen here. And I was speaking earlier about James V and his witch hunts that he had, and the witch trials that were held up at the castle. Well, he had one of his torturers were in here. His name was Lord Nichol Edwards, and he lived just next door here. And him, along with James V, believed that the only way to deal with witches is either torture or death. So it was in his dungeon, which was right next door here, where he tortured quite a lot of so-called witches. And it said that you can hear the screams inside the labyrinth here. And also himself as well, Lord Nichol Edwards, is known to haunt this pub. And can you guess where he haunts? He haunts the ladies' bathroom. Yes. Of course, he's hunting witches, isn't he?
Hunting witches.
And it's often said that when you go inside the ladies' bathroom, the door just slams shut behind you.
Was there not a... In fact, Lorraine, did you not... My sister's on this tour. Did you not go to a school camp when you were young? And the campsite you went to, there was the toilet was haunted, and the hand would come up the toilet and grab your butt when you were doing a pee. Can you imagine if you go to the toilet and a big hand just comes up and grabs you? I mean, well, some people might like that right enough, depending on who you think's down the toilet, eh? But anyway.
Yeah. It said that he also gets very angry. And
It's an angry one.
if you keep your glass on the table without watching it, it'll suddenly lift up and slam against the wall. So make sure to keep that drink very close to you.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your drink. It seems to be a lot of them throw glasses and bottles and stuff about, eh?
Lord Nichol Edwards, you are not coming near my whiskey.
Yeah, you come near my
whiskey's
whiskey,
mine.
you're getting set about. You've got a Glasgow kiss. Does anyone know what a Glasgow kiss is?
You want to show them?
It doesn't. If they go to Glasgow and they ask you do you want a Glasgow kiss, as much as it sounds like attractive, it's basically a headbutt like that. So yeah, don't ask for a Glasgow kiss, or don't ask to get a Glasgow kiss, should I say.
Yeah. So there's a few other ghosts to kind of finish off to tell you about here. There's a little girl named Molly, very restless soul Molly, who's inside here, and they were doing some kind of reconstruction inside the pub, and they came across an old fireplace, and inside that fireplace they found a little shoe, a children's shoe with the name Molly on it. So yeah, very spooky.
What was a lot of young girls on these tours, eh?
Yeah.
Young girls. I wonder why that is. I mean, I know a lot of children didn't live past the age of, childhood in these periods, but as Mike says as well, a lot of children were tortured as well and executed, and for what would be considered today petty crimes. It was quite a harsh country, Scotland wasn't it, after the Reformation, basically?
Yeah.
It was not a very... put it this way, didn't treat people very nicely back in this period. If you weren't executed, the way they would torture or execute the witches would be by garroting them, strangling them, and then burning them at the stake. A lot of people think witches were burnt. The dooking when they put them on the chair and put them into the water, that was not really very common as far as I'm led to believe, Mike. I don't know if you know more about that. But the dunk, when they dunked the witch in the water.
Oh, yeah.
And
The duking, yeah.
If she sunk, she wasn't a witch, or if she floated. No, if she floated, she was a witch, and if she sunk, she was a witch. So whatever happened, if you lived or died, you were a witch. That wasn't used very often, actually.
You lost either way.
People think that it was common, but it wasn't. You're mostly just strangled and burnt at the stake, especially on Castle Hill in Edinburgh.
Yeah. So all these, I'm going to span the camera back down here, just so you see where we came from. You can see all these buildings here are attached to the vaults, and actually inside these buildings are the vaults. So a lot of these pubs here, like the Banshee Labyrinth, you're having a drink inside the pub. Inside the vaults. And this one here, Whistle Binky's, is synonymous for its haunting. And also, it's kind of the last resort pub. It's when you're having a good time drinking, and the normal pubs close at 1 a.m., you'll come here.
Is it 4 o'clock?
It's 3 or 4, yeah, yeah.
During August, the pubs get you open till 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
So if you like to drink, Edinburgh's a great place to come in August. So you got a 5 o'clock licence. And who knows what you would see at that time of night going home.
Well, they say the Watcher is in here as well, Mr. Boots.
Oh, is that Mr. Boots in here, is it?
And they say, well, he's all over the place. He travels from place, yeah. But it was said there was a tour group in here one time. And they saw what they thought was a tour guide. But no, it wasn't a tour guide. It was Mr. Boots.
Brilliant. A ghost tour guide.
Anyway, we are coming to towards the end, where I'm going to pass you over to Paul pretty soon. I just want to end off to tell you about another ghost here. Again, we're kind of getting away from the pubs, but I want to get back to the castle. The castle is known to have a Piper ghost. I think that was mentioned before, right? And the Piper ghost was said that, thank you for your tips there, Donna and Linda. The Piper ghost was coerced to going into an underground tunnel. So apparently there's an underground tunnel that goes from the castle to where we don't know.
They thought it was going to go all the way to the palace. They thought it was a secret route to the palace at the bottom, allegedly.
Yeah. And they coerced this Piper, which was just a boy, right?
Oh, boy. It was a very narrow gap, allegedly. They could only send a child down. The gap was too narrow for an adult.
And, so they said, okay, you play the pipes, go in this tunnel, and we'll follow you. We can hear you from the ground level. So they did that, and the Piper started at the castle, came down to here, and it was here at the Tron Kirk. Thank you, Irene, for your tip. Here at the Tron Kirk, where you see the tower right there, that is the Tron Kirk. Thank you, Anne, for your tip. That is where the music, the pipes, stopped. And the Piper was never seen again. But his music is still heard here. So sometimes late at night, if you're walking, the Royal Mile, and you hear some pipes, it's late at night. There's, of course, no normal pipers here. It might be that little boy in the tunnel underneath. All right. You guys get that postcard? Hope you did. That's a Radisson Blue across the street from us. I'm going to pass you to Paul pretty soon. I actually used to work here. Around about 20 years ago, I was the night concierge in here.
It's 4-star, isn't it? It's a 4-star.
It's a 4-star, yeah.
It's quite nice, Radisson Blue. We've got Radisson Collection, Radisson Red. But it's been recreated like an old building, but it's actually dated to 1990.
But it's built over old tenement buildings.
Streets below it. Edinburgh has got several streets below it. The oldest street in Edinburgh is actually underneath the Tron Kirk. We actually went in there today. If you're on my tour today, we went inside the Tron Kirk today. Thanks, Mike. You know what to tell them about the mitre as well?
Oh, you go ahead and start it.
So this is another very haunted pub. I actually went for a job here. We'll see if I can show you. Actually, let's see if I can go in the door. See if I can show you. Let's see. Let's go in. So look there, see the chair? See the chair? That's, I think it was about 1990s. I actually came for a job in here, believe it or not. I actually came for a job in here, and I think it was round about the same time. There again, there's the basement, Edinburgh, we're sitting on an extinct volcano. This is a crag and tail volcano, and there's lots of depth. And what was it, they found a coffin or a...
Oh, it's the chair.
The chair.
Up there, yeah.
And the guy, was it a bishop?
It was an archbishop. So apparently there was a church around here, and he is the known entity in here, the known, poltergeist. I tend to find that most of the ghosts here are poltergeists.
What poltergeist activity?
And he's the one that's known to be in here, and he doesn't want to leave. So the incident has happened here, which at least I've read about. They have a jukebox in here that just suddenly starts playing, even when it's not plugged in.
It's not plugged in. The music comes on. What kind of tunes is it?
I'm not too sure. I'd have to look into that, but
spooky tunes.
Sure
Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call?
And they say whenever someone works on it, like an engineer tries to work it, try to fix it, it's pushed to the floor.
Pushed to the floor. That seems to be quite a common thing as well, getting shoved over. So imagine if you're standing somewhere in a bar or whatever, or outside in a spooky graveyard, and then you just get shoved over. Yeah. I mean, it must be quite discombobulating, as they say.
And there was a group of electricians there doing some work, and they shut all electricity off in the building.
So the whole power was off. Everything's isolated.
And a workman still got an electric shock.
Still got a shock.
Yeah.
Stuff that, man. So we've got loads we've only got one, we've not got much time. Appreciate we're going over the hour. Apologies for that. We'll just try and get you quickly to the next one.
Inside Banshee Labyrinth.
So that's inside the labyrinth there.
So that's the bar.
You can see it.
That is kind of the more seating area there.
So you can see the vaults,
Can you see it there?
Better to be a vampire and live on politicians' blood.
And they also have a cinema there.
Got a cinema inside it as well.
Inside the vaults, you can see that arch at the top.
That's in the basement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you definitely not got a signal in there anyway.
So that's the Banshee Labyrinth.
So that's the Banshee Labyrinth. So yes. So if you do come to Edinburgh for any reason at all, there's lots of bars and pubs you can go in at night and just watch out for any paranormal, spooky activity. You never know what's going to happen. But yeah, we're going to do a part 2 for this tour because there's so many pubs. Almost, I think probably every pub, Mike, because I mean I've been doing research for a few weeks and I think there is not that many pubs in the Old Town that haven't been haunted at some point, because you've got the World's End pub there, that's got ghosts, different ghosts attached to it. It's also got the World End Murders as well. Mike's going to want to show you this. They can
hard to see in the dark.
Can't see it, but
I'll just tell you very quickly.
So you can see it there. Look, see that building there?
So that's the watchtower, the old Calton jail.
See it?
Remember at the start of the tour with the Beehive Inn, where I had the door of the condemned cell? So that was from inside there, but there's not much that remains there. It's just the tower and
left.
Some of the prison cells. But in the 1930s, it was they built another building on top of it.
Yeah.
And now it's a government building.
Yeah, it's a government, but yeah, it's St Andrew's House. Yep.
And you converting the prison cells to offices for the politicians.
Aye, that's because there is a few people buried in the car park there. The last female executed in Edinburgh was Jessie King in 1888, and she was a so-called baby killer, and she was executed there in the prison. That's where after the public execution stopped in the Grass Market, they took it to the Tolbooth prison on the Royal Mile. But then there was so much drunken behaviour, because crowds of up to 40,000 people would turn up to an execution, and then riots would break out, drunken behaviour. So they ended up stopping them, public executions, and then they done them inside the prison because there wasn't as much drunken behaviour, because that was their form of entertainment in these days.
Yeah.
There was no cinemas or Netflix.
That continued for a long time too.
Yeah, they were quite sick, but was Lady Glamis, the one Mike spoke about that was burnt at the castle? I think the crowd, because sometimes the executions were so horrific, the crowds would actually turn against the executioners and the authorities, and riots would break out as well. Because especially the Lady Glamis, was she not burned with tar? Because you know what they'd done? Some of the witches were burned with tar, right?
Yeah.
And they would actually charge their families for the tar. They would charge them. You wouldn't get off scot-free. You would get billed for any implement or any materials they had to use to execute and torture you. You actually had to pay for them yourself. So stuff that.
Yeah. And you're saying about the Old Town Jail and the car park. So they said there's 10 murderers.
10 in the car park.
In the car park. Right underneath that car park.
I went up to try and find the grave of Jessie King, because I believe Jessie King was innocent. Well, not completely innocent, but she was suffering from mental health problems. Her husband was a violent alcoholic, 30 years older than her. And I went up to try and find her burial space in the car park, and nobody knew where she was. And they might try to find King Richard III. So, yeah, there's just no way. They just tarmacked over the graves, so you can't find them. So we're coming up to the last part of the tour now. Somebody had said, can we do the part tour at the weekend? Yeah, that's something we can look into. I appreciate we have to stay up late.
Although the pubs are very busy at that time, so that's kind of why we chose.
Yeah, I know. That's a good point. The pubs are quite busy. There's a lot of... as you can imagine, Edinburgh's a very popular city at the weekends for city breaks, bachelor parties, stag and hen parties, and so on. And it is a very busy place. And there's lots of drunk people. We can maybe do it at 7 o'clock again, because obviously the later on at night you do it, the higher risk you've got of being like attacked and abused and so on. But
and as well, when it's during the week, you have more freedom. You can even go inside some of them.
where I forgot to look for the initials. So this is the old toll booth prison here. So you see here, this is the toll booth fine. So again, a lot of the toll booths were used for prisons. There was actually courts inside them. There'd be a gate. You had to pay tax to get through here. Unfortunately, I'll have one day off of the month, aside from the weekend. I was looking for the initials. I forgot to look earlier. Because this is the Toll Booth Tavern. So as you can see here, established in 1820, but the original building goes back to when, Mike? 1591?
1561 or
1561,
like
was it?
To say it up here.
1561.
1591, no, you're right.
Oh, I was right, 1591, so yeah, the things are upside down. But yeah, so obviously loads of quite nasty people, see if we can look in. Lots of nasty people would have been kept in here and tortured and executed and so on. And again, lovely pub, by the way, does lovely food as well, but the problem is, Mike and I were in there earlier on, and as soon as you go in, the signal drops because you've got, the walls are so thick. So that was a prison there. There was actually two prisons here. So this place over here was also used as a prison as well, the museum. It's now the Museum of Edinburgh. But one particular story that I'm going to tell about was a ghost of a lady, right? And she would shout out, "Once burned, twice burned. Next time I will scare you all." And it's supposed to be the daughter of a very well-to-do family, actually. And she was given birth in mysterious circumstances here in Edinburgh on the Canongate. It's a very nice house and all that, a very well-to-do family. And she was given birth in mysterious circumstances. And one of the local ministers happened to be passing, and he was grabbed by a man, and he was told to come in and pray for the girl. She was given birth. You know, a death prayer. He was to give a death prayer, like your last rites type of thing. But there was nothing wrong with the girl. So the minister was quite concerned. So he went away. He was given a bag of money, and he left. He went home, and then the next minute, his servant broke in. His servant came into the house, and he says, "By the way, there's a big, massive house on fire in Edinburgh." Right? So they went to the house. It was just round the corner from the minister's house. They went to the house, and because they found out the girl was dead. The girl was dead, right? Look at this spooky graveyard here. Look, can you see the shadows? Whoa! Look, that looks quite freaky, that actually. You can see big long shadows, eh? It's the way the lights, they're making us look like giants. That just looks quite spooky, that actually. Look at that. That does look spooky, eh?
Let me see it on the camera. That look different.
Look.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh,
We didn't tell you might think that's something.
Yeah, we shouldn't have bothered telling you it was us. We should have said, "Oh, it's a ghost. It's a ghost." But this is in fact, it's probably too dark down there, man. I don't want to get attacked by any ghost, man.
Maybe David Rizzio.
Yeah, a wee second, Mike. I need from man. Aye, so it turned out the girl had died in the fire, right? And then over time, the buildings were demolished, right? The original buildings were demolished as they did. A lot of the buildings were demolished, right? But then another fire broke out, right? And that's when the ghost first appeared. So the fire broke out in the same building that had previously been set on fire. And again, that's when the girl came out and she started shouting, "Burnt once, burnt twice, and I'll get you all the next time," and words to that effect. And ever since then, people have started, every time there was a fire actually in Edinburgh, people were, because there was quite a lot of fires in Edinburgh at this point in period of time because the buildings were so close together, chimneys, coal and soot, peat were used, and there was loads of fires because the buildings were so close together. And so every time there was a fire, they were all terrified of meeting the ghost that would come out shouting at them because they honestly thought that they were going to be next, you know what I mean? But we're just going to go around here a second because most of you, any of you who have been on my Queen Mary of Scots tours, you'll have heard about David Rizzio, who was our personal secretary of Mary Queen of Scots, and he was famously murdered when she was 6 months pregnant by her husband and a group of the lords of the congregation. He was stabbed 56 times, and he was buried in the Abbey of Holyrood. But at some point, Mike, he was brought here.
Yeah. Yeah, David Rizzio, like Paul was saying, brutally murdered, and it was, of course, by Mary's husband, Lord Darnley, second husband, very jealous of David, spending too much time with Mary. And he was stabbed, 56 times, I think? And it was right here is at where they moved him. You can see two shadowy ghosts. That's our shadows. And this is where, they moved his body. But along with his body, they say, he was also moved, his spirit. And that's what the plaque says right there, David Rizzio. So they say his spirit kind of lurks around the graveyard here. I'm all alone now. Where did Paul go? Paul, are you here? Guys, this is getting kind of freaky. You guys feel that tingling in the back of your head too? Or is that just me? Paul! Where did he go? Is he up here? You guys see Paul anywhere? Where'd he go? Did the poltergeist get you, Paul? Where is he? Ah! Did you take Paul? Did you take Paul with you? A couple of clowns, that's not.
I was certainly a clown, man.
Anyway, I think she.
Help! Help!
Lots of fun doing this too. I hope you guys had fun, because I had lots of fun. Paul and I definitely have to collaborate again. Should we turn it around?
Yeah, we'll do another. We'll do a. Ooh, look at that. It's even spookier. Look. Can you see me? Look. Ooh. That looks even spookier, man.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for coming on our tour. I hope you've enjoyed the tour tonight. We'll do a part 2 coming up, and we'll try and do it at a weekend. Maybe we do it on a Sunday, actually.
Yeah.
Might not be as bad, because most people go out Friday, Saturday getting drunk, and Sundays usually, I know there are a lot of students go out on a Sunday, but
yeah, that's a good idea.
Sunday.
We could do it on Sunday. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
So we'll do that in the next month or so. Okay, March, we'll put another tour up for March, and we'll do a part 2 as well. So hope you've enjoyed the tour tonight. If you have enjoyed the tour, you can think about leaving a tip. If you can also follow my channel, and if anyone's here for Mike's channel, Sean, could you put a link into Mike's channel for us, please? If you could follow Mike's channel as well, everybody.
Yeah,
and help support Mike as well.
Yeah, so hopefully Paul will maybe join my channel.
I'll come on, I'll come on your tour.
Kind of take turns, and we're thinking of maybe doing a whiskey tour.
Definitely a whiskey tour, because Mike's a whiskey expert. I like Scotch, but I'm just getting into it just now, I go to various whiskey distilleries around Scotland on my tours, but Mike is a bit of an expert, so I'm looking forward to learning a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Mike, so watch this space, everyone.
Quite a lot of whiskey tours coming up, so if you happen to go to my profile, you'll see I'll be in Speyside in March, and I'll be on Isla again in Bowmore in April. I'll be there various times throughout the year, so yeah.
So take care, everybody.
Well, thanks, Sean, for your link, and yeah, take care, guys, and we'll see you later. All right, cheers.
Let's go.
All right.
I can't see when that happens. But take care, everybody. Have a great day and join us. The rest of the week, we've got some great tours coming up. So join Mike and join myself in the next few weeks. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Take care, everybody.
All right, take care, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.